Hey everyone, it's another episode of Crypto Grownups. This time I'm flying solo and I want to talk about proposed Ethereum Classic name change. So Stevan had a tweet that got picked up very, very fast by Cointelegraph, um, titled Ethereum Classic name change would get other cryptos wrecked. So to start off, I think it's a good idea. Changing the name has a lot of benefits. There's also some drawbacks, but I think from a total risk reward scenario, it makes a lot of sense for us to talk about this more at the ETC Summit. So first, let's go through the article, look at some background, and then we can go through some of the pros and cons and even propose a few names. So the tweet happened probably just like 24 hours ago. Opinion: many cryptocurrency in the top market cap would be absolutely wrecked by Ethereum Classic if we removed Ethereum from the brand. I know we are original Ethereum project, but maybe this can be water cooler chatter at Summit, huh? Or A, because it's Canadian. Then we've got Yaz from the cooperative agreeing. I always advocated changing the currency names. The network name can change organically if we start calling the currency itself something else. And what he's referring to there is Ether, ETH, and he's proposing that if we were to change the way we talk about the currency, we would be organically changing the name of the network. And then the author, who is Marie also pointed out that there's a study that shows that the readability of a cryptocurrency's three-letter long ticker symbol positively correlates with higher returns. So that's good to know. ETC, etc. It's one of those, not great comparisons. It's a commonly used three-letter acronym. And you don't really know how to pronounce it. ETS or ETS, ETSIs. There's been some proposals. So, what do you gain from changing the name? One of the things I think about for altcoins right now is that people have heard of Ethereum Classic. So having a name change really helps for the people coming into the space. They have heard probably of Ethereum. Whereas something new, all of a sudden gets a lot more focus. You don't have to go through this conversation. You have no idea how many times people will automatically denounce Ethereum Classic because it has that classic connected to it. There's so many misconceptions about who's the fork. So it's an uphill battle sometimes just because of the name. Now, it'll definitely get a lot of media attention having a name change as well. So the question then is, what would the name be changed to? If you go into Discord, we've got a few suggestions. People are saying maybe we just call it Classic. There's also been a suggestion to change it to Aether. I don't think that really changes the problem. Then there's some more suggestions further down. Now, Cody Burns, Don't Panic Burns, he does point out that maybe we've got other things to do. Obviously we've got a lot of stuff to do. Atlantis is coming. There's a lot of work that's happened. So I don't think that this is reduced down to a dark coin dash situation. This really is something that needs to happen. Because of the marketability, right? More people will look at it because it's a fresh new name. They won't denounce it just because it sounds like it's an offshoot of Ethereum. Ethereum was proposed. Taulium, I know that that's a joke from Yaz, although it does speak to the Hitchhiker's Guide audience. Neth, Turtlerium, Mooncoin. I think that that's also tongue-in-cheek. Turing, I think that's a great suggestion. Prometheum. What else do we have as a suggestion so far? CL, chlorinium or chloros, the Greek word for green. Then Yebisu, which is heads up P3C. He's against changing the name, and that's also one of the problems going forward. How will we come to consensus? Who gets to choose? If we change name, who gets to choose what the name is? How's that process? So that's a good question for us to figure out too, is how do we go about this? What's the correct way? Because the last thing we want is to have a network split just because we're trying to change the name. We definitely don't want to lose any of these members, especially someone like Yebisu. Now, it did remind me of one popular name change that's happened in the past, which was Raiblocks. Raiblocks is a horrible name, and they changed to Nano, which is a much better name. They also changed their symbol. I don't know if the symbol, is much better, but I can see how the symbol is an N. So those are the things we have to think about. What does the symbol become? Is it still a diamond to show that there's a history? Probably not. You probably have to leave the diamond behind. Do we leave the green behind? We can keep the green. I think if we do go forward with something like this, if Ethereum Classic goes forward with something like this, you need to change the symbol away from the diamond, and the name Ethereum needs to completely leave. There shouldn't be any connection to that history. And I think it's also fair to not connect, because there are other coins that at this point might mirror Ethereum more than Ethereum Classic does in ethos. Us being proof of work and sticking to that versus proof of stake. It's not bad to completely leave Ethereum as a name and as a history behind. So what would some good names be? We proposed Turing before, so TUR doesn't exist, but if you add a D, turd, I don't think it's a good idea. We could do Ring, that would be a good way to have Turing. So Turing and Ring, that could work, and I can think of a lot of cool logos with that. How about Phoenix, right? We have a Phoenix as a symbol, but there's already 2 Phoenix coins, so we don't want to do that. CL was proposed, but already exists as Coin Lancer. We also proposed Turtle, but there's a Turtle coin, so we shouldn't do that. Some of the words, I think of, I'm a comic book guy, so I always think of like what connects to unstoppable or immutable. So I thought of Juggernaut. He's unstoppable. We could call it Jug, or the plural could be Jugs. Of course, that might be a little too provocative. And then I was thinking about the Hulk, who's big and green and strong. We could call them Hulks. There's nothing there. But then I thought about how the Hulk came to be, and that's with gamma radiation. There is no gamma coin. There's nothing in that space. So we could call it gamma, and we could call them G's. It's the same way we think about like 1,000. So, how many G's is that? I think that would be pretty cool. So in conclusion, there's a lot to think about. What would we change if we did this? Should we do this? What would we have to change? How do we get to consensus? I think those are the 3 biggest questions. And props to Stevan for getting this started. These are the kind of conversations that, we kind of like gloss over. We discuss them in small moments, but if we can rally behind something in time for the summit and make sure that everybody's happy with it, because again, the last thing we want is some sort of network split as a result of a name change. I think that would be great. Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Take care.